Dr. Inge Genefke began her work in this field in 1973 when Amnesty International issued calls to medical doctors to help victims of torture. In 1981, she co-founded the Research Center of Torture Victims in Copenhagen, the precursor to the IRCT and the Danish Institute Against Torture, Dignity. Through sheer force of her will, she played a massive role in the recognition of the right to rehabilitation as an inalienable right. Dr. Eyad el Sarraj was a pioneering Palestinian psychiatrist who spent his career working with heavily traumatized populations in the occupied Palestinian territories. In 1990, he was the only psychiatrist in Gaza and established the Rehabilitation Center, the Gaza Community Mental Health Program, spearheading some of the most innovative approaches to community-based healing. He passed away in 2013, but his legacy bears testimony to the love of his people, his home, and the responsibility he felt toward them. Dr. June Lopez. A longtime human rights advocate from the Philippines, Dr. Lopez began working in human rights as a student during the Marcos dictatorship in the 1970s. She founded the Rehabilitation Center Medical Action Group, which has served thousands of torture survivors in the Philippines. Dr. Lopez is currently a member of the UN Subcommittee for Prevention of Torture. Her idealism has fueled her tireless work for human rights and torture victims. Dr. Veli Lurk is a Turkish medical doctor, professor and human rights advocate who has spent decades in the struggle against torture in Turkey. He was a founding member of the Human Rights Foundation of Turkey. Dr. Veli Lurk received the Inge Genefke Award in 2004 and received praise by the former Prime Minister of Denmark. His courage sees him navigate personal peril with characteristic serenity and, why not, a bit of humor. For 4 decades, Dr. Diana Kordon has provided psychological services to torture survivors, their families, and others affected by atrocities committed by the dictatorship in Argentina. She was part of a group that founded the Argentine Team of Psychological Work and Research, EATIP, in 1990, a rehabilitation center to provide psychotherapeutic and psychosocial assistance to people affected by human rights violations. Her intellectual curiosity and compassion have been a trademark of psychotherapeutic and psychosocial assistance in Argentina. Dr. Bamba Diop was a Chief Medical Officer of the Torture Rehabilitation Center Vive Caprec in Senegal. He dedicated his career to providing crucial rehabilitation support to thousands of refugees from nearly 20 countries in the neighboring region. A long-time campaigner for human rights, he received widespread recognition for his work with refugees in Senegal. He passed away in 2012. The humility with which he carried out his work made him the object of our admiration. Dr. Barbara Chester was instrumental in developing the Center for Victims of Torture in Minneapolis. In 1992, she founded the Center for Prevention and Resolution of Violence in Arizona. Since the year 2000, the Barbara Chester Award has been given out in her memory to a practitioner who has done extraordinary work. The sheer goodness of her nature made her a luminous presence in the dark world of torture. Paris Aristotle has worked with traumatized refugees in Australia for nearly 3 decades. He is the CEO of the Victorian Foundation of Survivors of Torture Incorporated and the executive member of the Forum of Australian Services for Survivors of Torture and Trauma. Dr. Aristotle has received many honors recognizing his long-standing work with refugees. His sharp intelligence and strategic mind has earned him the admiration of our sector. Dr. Jose Quiroga was one of the physicians of Salvador Allende, the former president of Chile, and remained with him as he died during the coup d'etat. Dr. Quiroga left Chile in the 1970s to Los Angeles, where he founded the Program for Torture Victims in 1978 to treat refugees and asylum seekers who had been tortured. Jose, as we all know him, is a living treasure of the movement. his quiet perseverance is an inspiration to us all. In each of their own unique ways, these pioneers blazed a trail of hope for those in need. When no one else had thought to help, they took the initiative, sometimes at personal peril, to offer their expertise and kindness to offer assistance. They sprang up in diverse countries and all continents, as small bursts of lights illuminating an otherwise dark world. These and many others like them were the visionary, the brave, the compassionate, the pioneers of our movement.